So he says, rahimahullah ta'ala, وَيُسَنُّ فِي السُّجُودِ وَضْعُ رُكْبَتَيْهِ ثُمَّ يَدَيْهِ ثُمَّ جَبْهَتِهِ وَأَنْفِهِ مَكْشُوفًا. It's sunnah in your sujood, when performing the sujood, or rather when going down from the i'tidal into sujood, to ensure that your rukbatay, your knees, reach the floor first. ثُمَّ يَدَيْهِ, then your hands thereafter. In other words, not your hands first and then your knees. Your knees reach the floor first, then your hands, then your forehead and your nose makshufan. He says, وَجَبَهَتِهِ وَأَنْفِهِ makshufan. Your forehead and your nose makshufan should be exposed. Now, but remember, this entire discussion is linked to the first word that reads yusan, at sunnah. So this ibara might give the impression that the forehead being open is also a sunnah, right? Where in the Shafi madhab, the forehead being open is necessary, it's a must for the validity of the salah, while the Ahnaf, the Hanafiya and others, they do not necessarily stipulate that the forehead needs to be open, right? In other words, the salah is safe, according to the Hanafiya and so on. According to the Shafi'iyya, it's necessary for the forehead to be open. وَأَنْفِهِ مَكْشُوفًا. And makshufan, being exposed, is referring to the nose and to the hands, right? In other words, can I wear gloves while making salah? It doesn't invalidate the salah. But it's sunnah for the hands to be open, makshufan. Generally, whenever something is sunnah, and or something is makruh, and there's a dire need, or darura, and then the karahiyya will fall away, the dislikeness of the act will fall away. Now, so he says, وَمُجَافَةُ الرَّجُلِ مِرْفَقَيْهِ عَنْ جَنْبَيْهِ وَبَطْنَهُ عَنْ فَخِذَيْهِ. Then when you're in the position of sujood, for the arms to be away from the body, and the stomach to be away from the thighs. This is for the male. وَيُجَافِي فِي الرُّكُوعِ أيضا. And he does the same thing in ruku', meaning when he's in ruku', his arms are not against his body, rather they are away from the body. وَتَضُمُّ الْمَرْأَةُ بَعْضَهَا إِلَى بَعْضٍ. While the female is a complete opposite. When she's in sujood, she ensures that her arms are not away from her body, rather her arms are against the body, and her stomach, as much as possible, she tries to reach her thighs. In other words, she's enclosing herself that way. وَسُبْحَانَ رَبِّيَ الْأَعْلَى وَبِحَمْدِهِ ثَلَاثًا أَفْضَلُ. And then وَثَلَاثًا أَفْضَلُ. And then to recite سُبْحَانَ رَبِّيَ الْأَعْلَى وَبِحَمْدِهِ. So just like in i'tidal, just like in ruku', we had certain tasbihat, and then we said there are extra tasbihat that you can make. But I don't know if the Jama'ah remember, who's allowed to make the extra tasbihat? The munfarid, the person who's performing salah alone, and the imam who's performing Jama'ah salah with a congregation that is in a masjid that's غير مطروق, a mosque that generally does not receive outside visitors. رضوا بالتطويل, and they are fine with the imam increasing the recitation, increasing the tasbihat, etc., etc. Right? So the same conditions that were stipulated to increase the tasbih in i'tidal or in ruku', the same conditions that were stipulated to increase the recitation of Quran, the same conditions that stipulated here in sujood. What is the extra tasbih though? After Subhana Rabbiyal A'la wa bihamdi, Subbuhun Quddusun Rabbul Malaikati wal Ruh, Allahumma laka sajadtu wa bika amantu wa laka aslamtu, sajada wajhi lilladhi khalaqahu wa sawwarahu wa shaqqa sam'ahu wa basarahu, bihawlihi wa quwwatihi tabarakallahu ahsan al-khaliqin. Right? That's the extra dua after Subhana Rabbiyal A'la wa bihamdi. That is the extra dua that can be recited. If you are performing Salah alone, or you are an Imam whom the congregation permits for you to lengthen the Salah. وَاجْتِهَادُ الْمُنْفَرِدْ فِي الدُّعَاءِ فِي سُجُودِهِ. And for the Musalli munfarid, meaning the person performing Salah on his own, fi du'a, for him to be excessive in his dua in sujood, whilst he's in sujood, not the Imam again, obviously. You can't be leading a congregation in Salah and you're making long du'as for everything that you need, while the Jama'ah might be harmed through you lengthening the Salah. The Imam has to stick to tasbihat 3 times and not longer than that. وَتَفْرِقَةُ بَيْنَ الْقَدَمَيْنِ وَالرُّكْبَتَيْنِ وَالْفَخِذَيْنِ. And then to ensure that the feet are apart, you're in sujood now, the feet are apart, وَالرُّكْبَتَيْهِ, the knees are apart, وَالْفَخِذَيْهِ, and your thighs are apart. وَوَضْعُ الْكَفَّيْنِ حَذْوَ الْمَنْكِبَيْنِ. And then where's your, where do you place your hands? وَضْعُ الْكَفَّيْنِ حَذْوَ الْمَنْكِبَيْنِ. In other words, you're not going to be placing your hands right next to your face, nor completely in line with your face, but حَذْوَ الْمَنْكِبَيْنِ, more closer to your shoulders than to your face. وَضَمُّ أَصَابِعِ الْيَدَيْنِ وَاسْتِقْبَالُهُمَا وَنَشْرُهُمَا. And then to close the fingers, to have the fingers, this is whilst in sujood. Remember when we discussed the ruku', we said that the fingers are apart while your hands are on your knees. We mentioned the incident where one companion of the Prophet ﷺ came past and he saw another companion in ruku' with his fingers attached to each other like that. And then he moved them slightly apart while the Sahaba was making Salah. And he said, that's how I saw Rasulullah ﷺ perform Salah. So in ruku', while your hands are on your knees, you ensure that there's a slight gap between your fingers. But in sujood, when your hands are on the floor, you ensure that the fingers are all closed. ضَمُّ أَصَابِعَ الْيَدَيْنِ, you're closing it. وَاسْتِقْبَالُهَا وَنَشْرُهُمَا. Not only is it you closing it, but also you can't be making a fist while closing it. You need to ensure that the hands are open and that your tip of your fingers are facing the Qibla and that you are closing your fingers. وَنَصْبُ الْقَدَمَيْنِ وَكَشْفُهُمَا وَإِبْرَازُهُمَا مِنْ ثَوْبِهِ. And then for the feet to be exposed, right? Unless there's a need. One of the needs would be the weather that we're currently experiencing. Then it's fine to wear socks or to close it. But in all normal circumstances, for the feet to be exposed, number one, from ideally not to be wearing socks. And then number two, if your thawb is over you're in sujood and your thawb is over your feet, covering your feet. وَإِبْرَازُهُمَا, then for you to slightly pull your thawb up, just to have your feet exposed at least. وَتَوْجِيهُ أَصَابِعِهِمَا لِلْقِبْلَةِ وَالْإِعْتِمَادِ عَلَى بُطُونِهِمَا. Then for your toes, when on the ground, as much as possible for you, if you can be having your toes facing the Qibla, and i'timad, the support that you are giving your foot from the bottom part of the toes instead of the tip of the toes. Would the tip of the toes suffice? It suffice for the validity of the sujood and for the validity of the salah. Right? So this is a rukn. I mean, for the feet, for the toes to be touching the ground is a rukn. You can't go without it. We are discussing the Sunnan now. So the Sunnan is saying that as much as possible, try and have the toes face the Qibla and have the support of your foot on they call it the inside of the toe, which would mean the bottom of the toe. Bas. Then وَيُسَنُّ فِي الْجُلُوسِ بَيْنَ السَّجْدَتَيْنِ الْإِفْتِرَاشِ وَوَضْعُ يَدَيْهِ قَرِيبًا مِنْ رُكْبَتَيْهِ. Then, when coming up from sujood, you're now in julus بَيْنَ السَّجْدَتَيْنِ, the sitting between the two sajdas. To be sitting in the position of iftirash. Iftirash is when you have your one foot up and your other foot. Do I need to demonstrate? The Jama'ah is aware of that. And then, وَوَضْعُ يَدَيْهِ, and to have your hands قريبا من ركبتيه, close to your knees, not on your knees. This is when I'm sitting, julus bayna sajdatain, to have your hands close to your knees, not on your knees. Right? وَنَشْرُ أَصَابِعِهِمَا, and again to have them straight, وَضَمُّهُمَا, and to have them closed, and then to recite رَبِّ اغْفِرْ لِي وَارْحَمْنِي وَجْبُرْنِي وَارْفَعْنِي وَارْزُقْنِي وَاهْدِنِي وَعَافِنِي وَاعْفُ عَنِّي. And then the last sunnah we will discuss is that, because obviously from the julus bayna sajdatain you're going back into sujood, and everything that we just discussed applies again. And then coming up from sujood into the qiyam. The last sunnah that they are mentioning here is that جلسة خفيفة للاستراحة قدر الجلوس بين السجدتين بعد كل سجدة يقوم عنها إلا سجدة التلاوة. Every julus, كل سجدة, every sajda that you are going to stand up directly into qiyam, it's sunnah to have a julus, a slight sitting before going into qiyam. So I'm in sujood, my second sujood, and after the sujood I'm going to be standing. So for me not to go straight from sujood up into the qiyam position, for me to come up from my second sujood, sitting position, and from the sitting position into the qiyam position. This is a sunnah. On one condition, that I do not lengthen the julus, the julus lil istiraha. That's called julus lil istiraha. Istiraha means like, literally means to be relaxed. So the julus lil istiraha, coming up from sujood, sitting, and then going up into qiyam, it's a sunnah, but I shouldn't lengthen it. They say if you lengthen it to the beyond that of the julus bayna sajdatain, or even to the length of the tashahhud, if you lengthen it to the length of the tashahhud, then batalat as-salah, then the salah will be invalid. So the julus bayna sajdatain, or rather lil istiraha, is a sunnah, but I should ensure that I do not lengthen it too long. The next section we'll discuss is the tashahhud itself. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم آت نفوسنا تقواها وزكها أنت خير من زكاها أنت وليها ومولاها يا أرحم الراحمين. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.